Hello, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. Today is Mindful Friday, and we are going to choose a concept or an idea to be mindful about. As you know, on Fridays, I go into my Mindful Creativity deck and I choose a card, and then we're going to look at how to be mindful through the lens of that card, of that meaning, of that concept. So here we go. We're just going to choose this one. All right. This card is practicality. Here we go. Here's what it looks like. You can see the two people holding on to a coin, and it's a big coin, so that means you have to be practical. So how do you look at mindfulness and awareness through the lens of being practical? Well, there are practical reasons to be mindful, right? So we have this notion in our lives that mindfulness is breathing rarefied air somehow, but actually it's not. Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Buddhist monk who's done a lot of writing and does a lot of speaking on mindfulness, says that even doing the dishes can be a mindful act. And so that is the way I want you to look at mindfulness, through the lens of being practical, of taking care of yourself, of eating healthy, of getting enough rest and enough sleep, recharging. And how can you be mindful during that point? Well, what you do is you try and be as aware as possible of each thing while you're doing or experiencing it. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it. If you are doing the dishes, feel what the water feels like. Right now, I don't know if you can hear the knocking next door. No matter how much soundproofing I put up, they're doing construction on the house next door, and it comes through with sledgehammers and jackhammers. And so I've started trying to take my drum out and drum with them while they're making the sound. And right now I'm recording this episode, and so you're probably hearing boom, boom, boom. And what can I do as someone who is looking to be mindful at all times is to sort of incorporate that on a practical level, do what I can by soundproofing, and then do what I need to do, and that is record this episode for you. So on practical levels, you can be mindful, you can be thinking about all of those things that can, on a practical level, bring you a sense of peace, making sure that you're eating food that's healthy, enjoying the food, chewing it thoroughly, making sure you have enough water, and as you swallow each little bit of water, really being present to the swallow of water, right? See and feel how that water goes into your mouth and down into your stomach cavity and all of that, so that you can be present. And if you can do that, it becomes a real sacred act to just drink a glass of water, because each moment is a new experience. So on some very practical levels, you can do that with water, you can do it with the food you're eating, you can do that when you're putting on your clothes, you can do that with your morning routine or nighttime routine. See if you can be aware on very practical levels of what you're doing and also how it benefits you. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're doing something like drinking more alcohol than you might otherwise do. Be aware of that. Stay conscious of your choices. This brings to mind The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, which is a phenomenal book. And it is one that talks a lot about that notion of being extremely present and accounted for at all times. And Dan, the main character of the book, who is somewhat loosely maybe, based on Dan Millman himself, who is an American gymnast, he gets a mentor, if you will, on this way of the peaceful warrior that he calls Socrates. And Socrates works the night shift at a gas station, and he and Socrates embark on this journey that will bring Dan a lot of peace of mind and make him that peaceful warrior. And after many, many months of Dan eating only raw food and no alcohol, no sex, no smoking, nothing fried, just living extremely clean, if you will, Dan meets Socrates at a bar, and he walks in, and Socrates is smoking a cigar and drinking some kind of shot of something. And Dan is pissed. He is so angry. And he calls Socrates out. You made me eat vegetarian, and you made me only drink water and juice and no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, no sex. Yet here you are doing the exact same thing. And Socrates smiles at him and says, yes, I am. I'm smoking a cigar and I'm drinking alcohol. And you know what? I know the exact consequences of doing it. I know what it will do to my body. I know what it will do to my mind. I know what it will do to my spirit. I have thought about it. I am conscious of it on every practical level. I know what's happening. And because I know and I am willing to accept the consequences of having done it, I'm allowed to do it. And when the day comes that you can do that you can accept the consequences fully of whatever action you're about to undertake, then you can do that action too. And when I read that, it blew me away, because it's not something that I think about too much in that way in my own journey of becoming more mindful. But on very practical levels, if you accept the responsibility for what you are doing, then everything else changes. And you can, in every moment, be more present, because on practical levels, you have made the decisions that will allow you to be there, to take the consequences, and therefore take the action. I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. I am sitting here listening to the drills and trying to sort of stay cognizant of it and realize that, yes, there's probably annoying noise, not only to me, but also to you. And that's one of those things where there's not much we can do about it. You incorporate what is happening to, how do I say this? You incorporate whatever's happening in your environment into your experience of the moment, and on practical levels, you can and will persevere because you're able to stay peaceful and mindful of exactly what's happening. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, reminding you to be bold, be creative, and be kind.